The following day, Anya's measurements are taken to make her college uniform. The shopkeeper congratulates them and also warns about the increase in the number of Eden College students' kidnappings. Both Loid and Anya are alerted. After 5 days, the uniform is made. But because Loid has some work, he requests Yor to go and take the uniform instead. After leaving the home, Loid meets up with Sylvia, who is in charge of delivering information related to Operation Strix. She gives the details regarding Phase 2. In Eden College, a student with exceptional grades and contributions to society is given points known as Stella. When a student earns 8 of them, they will become an Imperial Scholar. Desmond, being a careful man, only attends social gathering that is organized for Imperial Scholars and their parents. However, if they do worse, students will receive nitrous bolts. 8 of them will get them expelled. So in the next stage, Loid has to make sure Anya becomes an Imperial Scholar. On the other side, after receiving the uniform, Yor goes to buy some items for the home. While she is in the store, Anya goes out. But as soon as she steps out, she is abducted by 4 people. Anya remembers what the store lady told her. But before the kidnappers go any further, Yor came for rescue. She is very angry. She warns them to leave or else she will turn their head into a squashed pumpkin. Seeing her strength, all of them get scared and run away. Yor is depressed to see she failed as a mother. To make sure this doesn't happen again, at home, Anya and Yor practice combat training until orientation day. Finally, the day of the orientation comes. Every selected student has gathered with their parents. Students are being allotted to their respective classes. Among all the students, it's Donovan Desmond whose Loid is looking at. He is Desmond's second son. Loid has 2 plans. Plan A is to make Anya an Imperial Scholar, on which Loid has almost given up. But Plan B has a very high chances. In it, Anya will become friends with Damien so that, as a parent, Loid can be invited to their house. Anya heard Loid's plan and understands what she has to do. But when she reads Damien's mind, she is in shock to see he thinks of her as a creepy girl who is staring at him for no reason. In Anya's class, there are a lot of children whose parents have huge power in this country. Loid hopes she will get along with all of them. But when a girl named Becky greets her, Anya ignores her. Because when she read her mind, Becky considers Anya as a baby, whom she wants to take care of her as a big sister. Anya's class homeroom teacher is Henry. He gives a small tour to the students and gives brief information about the importance of being an Imperial Scholar and how to become one. All of the students are from an insanely wealthy and powerful family. And after knowing Anya's father is a mere doctor, Damien and his friends starts bullying her by calling her a peasant. When she is pushed by one of Damien's friends, Ewan, Anya is about to unleash her killer punch which Yor taught her. But she remembers what her mother told her about controlling her emotions in such situations, as it will make her a much bigger person. So Anya with a smirk forgives them. Becky, who earlier thought Anya is a baby, changes her opinion and considers him a grown-up. Anya is very happy to hear it. But Damien is pissed. For this humiliation, he is planning to make Anya's life at school a living hell. On the way, he and his friends continue to bully her. After a lot of tolerance, Anya couldn't control her emotions anymore. Her emotions burst into a killer punch which made Damien fly away. Henry comes running demanding an explanation. Becky explained that all day Damien and his friends were bullying Anya, but this time he went too far. Henry is not satisfied with the explanation, because in the end, Anya did use violence. To save herself, Anya explained she used violence because Damien hurt Becky's foot. Henry is impressed to know Anya restrained herself all this time, but when her friend was hurt, she used her strength for revenge. But still, he calls up Loid to explain the incident. On knowing it's Desmond's son, Loid is devastated to see his plan is already falling apart. Normally, a student will receive 3 nitrous bolts in case of violence, but after Henry's request, Anya only received 1. The next morning, while cooking, Loid is worried to see Plan B is about to fail even before starting. Soon, Yor and Anya wake up. Anya again apologizes for what she did and promises to make up with Damien. Loid is glad to hear it. After Anya leaves for school, Loid and Yuri go to their jobs. At school, when Anya meets Damien, she tries to apologize, but before she does, Becky takes her away. Loid, who is spying, gets worried to see Becky trying to ruin the plan. In the class, because of yesterday's incident, Anya has developed a bad reputation. Most of the students are scared of her and hope she leaves the school. But Becky comforts Anya to not feel bad because she is with her. On the other side, Desmond, who has all his life lived in luxury with no one to ever talk back or defied his orders, is humiliated by a mere peasant. This makes him furious and determined to take his revenge. After the first class ends, Anya again tries to apologize, but Becky again ruined it. By this time, Loid is panicking. He had enough and takes matters into his own hands. Throughout the time, she gives indirect signals to Anya in the form of a textbook, a note attached to a student's back, and a message on omelette rice. But despite the efforts, Becky keeps on ruining it. Loid had enough. He goes to the announcement deck and calls Becky to the student hall. After she left, Anya goes to Damien. On seeing Anya, Damien, who was earlier furious, is in shock to see his heart is strangely beating heavily. As Anya tries to say, she hears Emil and Ewan's thoughts, who are getting excited just upon thinking what embarrassing name Damien will give to her. Short-legged girl, gorilla girl, or maybe a stubby raccoon. Hearing all these thoughts make Anya emotional. While crying, she finally apologizes for punching and that she wants to make up. Damien starts to blush. He can't believe Anya is actually sorry for her mistake. On seeing her face, Damien is feeling strange. He doesn't know what feeling this is, but he ends up running away, saying he will not forgive her because his pride won't let him. Loid is devastated. With this, he concludes Plan B is done for. So from the next day, he puts some hope into Plan A, and make Anya study for hours without any breaks. Anya had enough of mental torture. She goes inside her room and shut herself in. No matter how many times Loid asks her to come out, she won't. Yor understands Loid is worried, but still, she suggests him to give her a break. But Yor realizes she was out of line. So she apologizes for butting in someone else's family matters. Loid tells her to not think like that. Because even though they are in a pretend relationship, still she is his wife now and an important member of this family. He respects her thoughts. Loid realizes he was too strict on Anya. Even though he is not her real father, he still wants to become the ideal father so he can anticipate Anya's movements and thinking. So, he goes and tells Anya about her spy anime starting soon. After no response, he goes inside and sees Anya is asleep and was studying alone. Loid feels proud of her. He puts her on the bed and wishes her good night. On the other side, Yuri meets Dominic on his way. He greets him and asks about the person his sister is dating. Firstly, Dominic congratulates Yuri for his sister getting married and then proceeds to tell Loid is a nice person. Yuri is in shock. He can't believe his sister married without him knowing. The scene shifted to the next day, where Sylvia believes Anya would have already gotten 2 to 3 Stellas. After all, it was Loid who picked her. While panicking, Loid assures her everything is going fine. After it, Sylvia proceeds to warn Loid about Ostania's security service being active a lot lately about other country spies. She tells him to take care. Loid understands. The scene shifts to City Hall, where one of the veteran staff, Howard, is arrested for supplying confidential data to Westalis. The state's security service used their youngest officer to interrogate him. And it's Yuri, who on paper is a civil servant with a peaceful job, but in reality worked for security service. Yuri, being only 20 years old, is underestimated by his superiors, but he is the person who knows how to do his job. First, he calmly requests Howard to reveal everything he knows. Yuri has a sister complex and today he is going to meet Yor, so he wants Howard to not waste his time. After gathering enough evidence and data, Yuri knows Howard has been betraying their country for money, and also there is a top spy named Twilight in their country who is the most evil being in this world. With no way out, Howard reveals what information he supplied. But he does clarify he doesn't know anything about Twilight. Yuri knows Twilight is not an easy man. After all, It is his natural enemy. Even after revealing this, Yuri still beats him and breaks his nose for betraying and putting his sister's safety at risk just for some money. Back in the home, Yor comes worried and tells about her brother coming to visit them. She doesn't want him to find out this is a fake marriage. Loid assures her to not worry because he has prepared his best. It's about time Yuri comes. Anya wants to meet her uncle badly, but she ends up falling asleep. Yuri on his way is wondering why his sister waited for an entire year to reveal her marriage. He wonders if her husband is a bad person, and she is scared of introducing him. Because if this is the case, he will use his power to make sure he suffers. Yuri enters home with a bright smile. Loid greets him with a bright smile as well. Yuri sits down and gets straight to the point. He asks Yor the reason she didn't tell him earlier about the marriage. At first, Loid wanted to tell the truth that they married just because Yor doesn't want to be seen as suspicious for being single, and he needed a mother for his daughter. But Yor was against it. Because Yuri is sensitive, and to know his sister married someone she doesn't love, he would lose his composure and might cause trouble. So Yor assured him to not worry because she knows what to tell him. Back in the present, Yor tells his brother that she completely forget to tell him. Loid is in shock to hear it. But to Loid's surprise, Yuri buys the reasoning because in front of his sister, he loses all sense of logic. Loid presents the dinner, but Yuri gets pissed at Loid for interrupting the conversation. He expected the food to be bad, but he is furious to see how delicious it is. Yuri has brought some juice as a gift so that he can make Loid get drunk and unveil his true identity. But on seeing his sister and Loid are already on a first-name basis, he is devastated. Even he who lived with Yor for years didn't dare to call her by it. He is so furious, he ends up drinking too much juice. Loid sees the situation is getting worse, and to improve it, he asks Yuri about his job and the juice he bought. Yuri shares that for work purposes he was in Hungaria before coming here. They're from Calpatia. The old man who is the owner sold him this bottle for around $200. It was at this moment Loid realizes Yuri is from the secret police. It's because what Yuri just told is exactly one of the deceptions Ostania's intelligence service teaches their officers. And because after knowing about Operation Strix, Loid went to the shop and find out the shop is now run by the owner's son and the bottle now costs around $300. Loid, understanding the threat of involvement with the secret police, calmly handles Yuri. However, Yuri has drank too much, and starts asking his sister what she saw in this person that despite having a child she married him. Yor tries to calm Yuri but ends up spilling some juice. As she tries to clean it, her hand touches Loid and both of them immediately pull it away. Yuri is surprised to see it. He starts suspecting how a couple who has been married for an entire year is blushing just at a slight touch. Yor and Loid try their best to convince him how much they love each other. But Yuri demands he wants to see them kiss. And if they don't, he will revoke their marriage license. Loid has been in this situation a lot of times where he has faked his love, and this time too it's not anything special. Loid looks into Yor's eyes and tells her that they are going to do what they always do. Yor starts to blush. Loid holds her and comes forward to kiss her. Yor is freaking out, but she knows it's important to deceive her brother. So to make sure she pulls it off, she drinks the juice. And with it, she is instantly in the mood. As they are about to kiss, Yuri realizes after all he just can't bear to watch her sister kissing someone else in front of him. He rushes to stop them. But Yor, despite being drunk, realizes it's still too much for her. So in embarrassment, she swings to slap, but Yuri comes in front and takes the hit. He ends up getting a lot of injuries. Yuri misunderstood, and think Yor slapped him because she didn't want him to stop their kiss. He apologizes for doubting their love. As he is about to collapse from bleeding, Yor holds him. Seeing them together, Loid is happy to see what a lovely siblings they are. He thanks Yuri for protecting Yor up until now. But from now on he will take care of her. But Yuri is not going to melt this easily. Before taking his leave, he warns Loid that he is going to come back to prove he is tricking his sister. After Yuri leaves, Loid understands he must stay alert and often checks for bugs in the house. The next day, Anya wakes up, only to realize she missed meeting her uncle. And on reading Loid's mind, she is devastated to know he is in the secret police. All the entertainment she could have gotten is now lost. After knowing Yuri is in the secret police, Loid is starting to suspect Yor's involvement in the secret police as well. He doesn't want this to be true, because then Operation Strix would be in danger. But he still needs to confirm it. As a spy, he must suspect everyone and everything. So before heading out, he secretly attaches the listening device to Yor's collar. Anya has been listening to Loid's thoughts about his suspicions about her mother. She doesn't want their parents to separate, so before heading to school, she tells both of them to get along. Loid is amazed to see kids are this much observant. On the other side, Yuri, who is at work, suddenly realizes he should have put bugs in Loid's house. But he soon writes it off, upon realizing he would have to hear their voices at night, which he wouldn't be able to bear. The scene shifts to the city hall, where Yor is sad because she is neither a proper cook nor she was able to kiss Loid. She considers herself a failure. She asks her colleagues for help. But as expected, instead of helping her, they remind Yor her husband is just too good for her. As they are talking, Loid is listening. He wonders why Yor is trying to be a better mother and wife when it's just a pretend family. He decides to dig further into it. So after Yor goes out to mail the letter, Loid with Frank disguise themselves as secret police. And after Yor mails it, they stop her for questioning. They take out the letter she just mailed and ask why there are secret codes written in it, which are specifically meant for Westalis. Yor starts panicking. She explains that it was her superior who told her to mail it. Loid demands her name. And after Yor tells them, they become aggressive and ask the reason her name is in the letter. Yor panics. She tries to clarify she doesn't know. But then Loid threatens that because of the treason she will receive most cruelest of the punishment. However, just in case any of her family members work in the secret police, her punishment would be lowered. But when Yor again refuses to know anything, Frank tries to be aggressive. But Yor soon puts him in his place and tells him she is married. So if any other person except her husband touches her, she would break that person's arm. Loid reminds her that by not cooperating, she is also putting her family in danger. Yor with her death stare threatens them that if they do anything to her family then they will pay the consequences. Loid confirms his suspicion was wrong. He wraps up by looking at the letter again and apologizing for deciphering the message incorrectly. Yor has relief. She doesn't say anything and leaves. Loid realizes that it's just Yor has become attached to her family. And because of it, he now feels bad for doubting her. Frank is surprised to hear it. He reminds Loid that he is Westalis' best agent who has never felt guilty about doubting someone. Frank warns Loid that if he is too becoming attached to his fake family, the mission is in danger. It's evening, and Yor on her way meets Loid. As an excuse to remove dirt from her collar, he gets rid of the listening device. Yor apologizes for not being able to properly act like a mother and a wife. But Loid comforts her not to feel like this because being a parent can be tiring. It's always good to try to become a better parent, but it's also important to take your time and not rush it. Yor is glad to hear it. She is grateful that it's Loid that she chose to marry. Anya comes home. After hearing her father's thoughts, she is happy to know everything is resolved. The next day, Anya is studying for her upcoming test. In her earlier exam, she didn't do great, so Loid is making sure she doesn't run away and completes her studies. Anya can't let this keep going on. Earlier she made the mistake of picking the wrong student. This time she must pick the right one so her father doesn't force her to study this much. Loid could see Anya is losing focus, so for today he decides it is enough for the academic area, and focuses on non-academic areas, which will help her relax as well. So Anya does art, plays musical instruments, and tennis. But instead of relaxing, all of these things are making it worse. So Loid takes her to a hospital, where she can learn to do volunteer work. But there also, whatever the nurse tells her to do, she ends up making a mistake. And after some time, the nurse gets frustrated and begs them to leave. Inside the rehabilitation pool, a boy named Ken, who is here for therapy, accidentally falls into the pool. He asks for help, but because he is so far away, the other people present there aren't aware of him. But Anya, on her way, hears the scream. She can't tell her father because it will be suspicious. So as an excuse of becoming a pro swimmer, she runs towards the pool and decides to help the kid herself. Anya arrives and notices the bubbles. She immediately jumps in and tries to grab Ken's hand. But she loses consciousness. Fortunately, Loid came for help and saves both of them. Soon, everyone comes running and is glad to see both of them are okay. Loid thanks Anya for her reckless urge to swim, because of which Ken was saved. Before leaving, Ken shows his gratitude to Anya. And the next day, the news spread about Anya's bravery, and she receives her first Stella. Both Loid and Yor are proud of her. Anya is very happy as well. Because it's the first time her power helped someone. From the next day onwards, Anya's image has suddenly improved and she is like a celebrity. Every kid of her age is looking up at her because she is the youngest student to receive a Stella this quickly. Anya realizes this is the time when Damien will come begging her to come to his house. And after it, her father will thank her for bringing peace to the world. But to her surprise, Damien is more pissed than ever. And on top of it, even though her image has improved inside her class, everyone believes she must have cheated. Surprisingly, Damien comes to Anya's defense. He reminds others that their school is not a third-rated place that would give Stella to anyone without any investigation. But this all makes Damien more frustrated to see a mere peasant has a lead on him. At lunch, Becky asks Anya what reward she is going to ask. At first, Anya was thinking of peanuts for the whole year, but Becky suggests her to think of a better thing. Like a pet. Anya gets a nice idea. She asks Damien if he has a pet. Damien didn't reply and leaves. But Anya read his mind and got to know Damien has a dog. So she decides to ask for a dog as well, so that Damien will invite her to his house and the world peace would be regained. At home, Anya arrives and requests her father for a dog. Loid thinks it's a good idea to have a guard dog. And on the other side, Yor is worried about the danger big dog possess. Anya read their thoughts and starts to fear. She emphasizes that she wants a dog that is tiny and cute. Loid prefers a guard dog, but after all, it's Anya's gift, so he agrees and decides to buy it the next weekend.